like no bugs in it. All jokes aside, No Man's Sky has come a really long way since the No Man's Lie. I mean, you can build your base, you can drive around in exo vehicles, you can invite your friends to play with you. They spent a lot more time on the story, so it's not just cryptic messages that mean absolutely nothing. And all of the, infinite procedurally generated planets, they're actually really cool. And there's no shortage of moments where I'm exploring and I'm like, oh my god, what is that? That looks really cool. So from a very basic level, I think it's fair to say No Man's Sky has achieved what it set out to be and probably gone beyond that. It is this open world, procedurally generated universe where you can bounce from planet to planet, explore, craft, and even play with your friends. And at the same time, it's not trying to be realistic. This is a stylized space game where the art style is not trying to be what you might expect on another planet, This is a different universe than one we live in. It's also very colorful in a very beautiful way. The art style is so unique that, when you see gameplay of it, you're looking at No Man's Sky, and I think that's fantastic. It is one of very few survival games, however, that has gripped me. I think the only other one is Valheim, where I am interested in pursuing what's next. What can I craft next? What can I upgrade next? Okay, let me go get the materials and make that, and then keep on progressing. That is sort of the gameplay loop we expect with survival games, and No Man's Sky is no different. Now, there are different parts of this game that I think expand it beyond that. That is the multiplayer with your friends. Like, you can do whatever you want with your friends. That's awesome. They also added expeditions, which are more, linear type experiences where you can go out and go on a mission. That's awesome. But at its core, I would say still that No Man's Sky is a survival crafting game. That is what this is. And while I think it's a very good version of that, at the end of the day, I'm just not a big survival crafting guy, to be honest with you guys. Minecraft, I don't know, man. I could take it or leave it. I wasn't the biggest fan of base building in Fallout 4. I think it's really cool for people who are into that, and it's totally optional, so I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. But there's only so many times that I can unlock a new thing and then go out and have to get that material, come back and build that new thing until I'm like, okay, I'm good. No Man's Sky is really good at that. There's like an endless supply of really cool new things to progress and unlock. I mean, freighters? Having your own freighter, your own capital ship, and then being able to base build on it. That is really cool. So to me, No Man's Sky is like one of the best examples of that survival crafting experience, and the fact that it's in space is probably what keeps me playing, I like space. I like games where you can go in your spaceship and it's so cool to be able to go from surface to space without any loading screens. That's not something that's going to be in Starfield, so I'm slightly disappointed, and I kind of get their logic behind not including it, but it really is kind of like a whoa, this is so cool moment. And even though I said I don't like base building, which is still true, the base building in No Man's Sky is awesome. It's one of the best versions I've seen. The flexibility that they give in terms of positioning and sort of how you're able to move around while you're placing objects is so nice. Being able to hire a crew to run your base, your science guy, your tech guy, your base building guy, you can go on missions for them. All of it is really cool. I started on this incredibly crappy planet that has poisonous rain, but you know what? I built it up and I'm calling it my own, and I decided how everything looks, and you get a sense of pride and accomplishment for all that you've done, all the work that you've put in over time. And yeah, I get it. And another thing that these days I think it's more and more hilarious that we appreciate it is that this game is functional. I mean, it's not buggy. There's not issues with this video game. I haven't run into glitches or bugs. It's been out for 6 years. I recognize that, but the fact that it's functional and running and I don't have problems with it, yeah, I really do like No Man's Sky. But it's not the perfect video game. There's definitely some things that aren't the best in No Man's Sky. Before I start with this part, please, I understand that this is a survival crafting game and it probably does a lot of these things better than other survival crafting games. The menus. There are so many menus, like just pulling up to craft very basic items is tedious to me. And I think I've sort of hit a wall after about a dozen hours of I don't really want to have to gather more ferrite to make metal plates, which is one of the most basic things that's required in making almost anything. Having to mine materials in order to create starship fuel, or just refueling my ship, recreating warp drives. That stuff to me, it's so repetitive that it gets to a point where it's more annoying than it is fun. And I know you can upgrade your ship to require less fuel, less warp drives. You can do all of those things. You can automatically mine materials. I get that, but they just represent barriers to fun that I feel like I shouldn't have to get to that point where everything's automated for it to be fun, right? I just think those should be more cleverly designed in ways that don't inhibit the fun. This is something that I actually complain about in almost every game that I play. I think too many games these days bury you in menus instead of, letting what you're doing happen in the gameplay, within the action. And the next thing that kind of irks me and lost me pretty quickly was the way the story is presented and the dialogue. One of my bigger pet peeves, especially after Assassin's Creed Valhalla, is games that present you with dialogue choices that don't actually matter all that much. There's some that do matter in No Man's Sky, but for the most part, it's either advance the dialogue or back out of the dialogue scene. And a lot of what is said is very kind of cryptic, and I know it's that way on purpose. I just don't think I'm a big fan of that. And so a lot of the times, I'm just skipping through dialogue to get to the next thing. I am positive that is not what the good people over at Hello Games want us to do. They want us to be engrossed by it and read it, but I think a lot of people are in the same boat, if I had to guess. It's not really, you're not playing No Man's Sky for the little bits of dialogue that spit out, It's just not a central part of the game, but I see it so much in the course of regular play that, it makes me think that this game should have either backed off of the story part or made things like Subnautica, where you only get dialogue cutscenes when it really matters, and you only get story bits from recordings that you find out in the world. But again, for the people in the back, I'll say it again. I know this is a survival crafting game, and I'll go back to praising it because the quality of life, at the same time, there's some really good quality of life mechanics, like being able to create portals that allow you to just bounce in between different planets. That is so cool. Things like being able to make a portable refiner so you can refine materials on your person at any time. That's sweet. Being able to create solar power and then hooking it up to batteries so it ensures that your base is powered at night. And the range of exocrafts that makes it easier to move around on the surface of a planet is incredible. I really haven't scratched the surface yet. I've only made 2 of them. There are so many ways that No Man's Sky, I ask questions. Can I do this? Is this possible? And a lot of the times the answer is yes. And I think that's thanks to years and years of quality of life updates, which, by the way, not just the quality of life updates, all of the updates have been free. I mean, that is truly incredible. This is a story. This is like a turnaround we've never seen in video games. It's amazing. Okay, now I'm gonna ham-handedly relay this back to Starfield. In my No Man's Skyrim Starfield video, a lot of you guys said, "Stop! This is nothing like No Man's Sky," or "Stop! It's just like No Man's Sky, but it's, not gonna be as good." And I said this in my video, and I still believe it, especially after playing this much No Man's Sky. I don't think Starfield's gonna be anything like No Man's Sky. I mean, really, it's like comparing Borderlands and Call of Duty. They're both first-person shooters, but they're different genres. One's a looter shooter, and one is just an FPS. No Man's Sky is a survival crafting game. Almost the whole point of that game is a loop where you are gathering materials and crafting them. Similar to Fallout 4, Starfield is going to let you gather materials and craft a base. It's going to let you do some of those similar things, but it's within the context of a Bethesda game where you are going out, you're building up you're role-playing a character, which, by the way, is not voiced. You're talking to people, you're having engaging dialogue where you're actually answering questions. There's actually, no offense to No Man's Sky's story, but actually a compelling main storyline, hopefully. And if not a good main story, there's going to be plenty of side stories that are interesting that will, catch our attention. Starfield is going to have 1,000 planets, and apparently we're going to be able to land on all of them, which is cool in and of itself. But we haven't seen that quite yet in action. So I'm going to reserve all my judgment on that until we see it. Todd.
Who's laughing now?
Bottom line is, these are different genres. It almost feels like we shouldn't even be, having this conversation. No Man's Sky is a survival crafting game. Starfield is an open world Bethesda RPG. One of the best ways of expressing the difference is something I found on the Starfield subreddit. I'm going to show it to you right now. Your ship in Starfield is going to feel like the horse. You're going to hop on your ship and go from destination to destination. Exploring a planet will feel like exploring a cave. If that is anywhere close to reality, I will be happy because, and for some of you more sensitive people, put on your earmuffs, I like Bethesda games. I've liked every single one of their games except for Fallout 76. Since this game is not multiplayer and it's not live service, I don't think it will be like Fallout 76. If it sucks and it is like Fallout 76, you know what? I'll be a fool, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna spend the next year being hyped for the game and excited. And I'm not going to be comparing it to No Man's Sky because they are not the same. They will not be the same. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, remember to hit that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Hit that bell to turn on notifications so YouTube has a chance of sending you a notification when I upload my next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.